So if you want to be a part of it and continue the conversation to know how we can improve the access of contraceptives within the country, you should be there. But for now, we're going to be talking about something that has had a number of people talking the entire February and still continues, and it might be going on for a while, something from Parliament. That is the Landlord and Tenants Bill 2018. A number of people asking, is this here to protect the tenants? Is it here to protect the landlords? Who exactly is this bill going to be protecting? Well, I am Rita Kanya, and I am joined by Malaki Villa Odera.
Yes. And last week we did see, the face-off between tenants and landlords to pay new UGX or USD. And that's the conversation that we'll be having this morning right here on the studio. And we're joined by a special person who will give his honest views with regards to this tussle that you're seeing between government, landlords, and tenants. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Rita.
Mr. Peter Itagat.
Mark Itagat.
Sorry, forgive me, Mark Itagat. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Now, he has been renting for the last 15 years. 15 years.
Yeah.
So that talks about you as a tenant.
Exactly.
Do you feel protected by this bill? Do you think it will be protecting if it comes into law? Let's start from there.
I think somehow it protects me because tenants like me, we've been through a lot of things, and I think this will help us somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been your experience as a tenant? Because it's 15 years, and are you comfortable there, or are you trying to make changes? That aside, what has been your experience?
I'll tell you, there is no tenant that would like to be forever a tenant. You'll always want to change and become a landlord somehow, because we've seen how landlords treat us from day one up to day last. You'll be a friend to a landlord when you're paying in time. When something happens, come on, you'll always go wrong ways and wrong sides with the landlord. So to me, I think this bill will help us. Will help us a lot.
It will help you a lot.
Yeah.
Now, in the 15 years, have you been paying in Uganda shillings or US dollars?
Me, I've been paying in Ugandan cash.
Okay.
I've not paid in the dollars. I will not deceive the public that is watching us right now. Yeah. But there's so many challenges. If you ask me right now, would you continue being a tenant for the next 2 or 3 days? I don't think I would say yes. I would just say typically no. I will not be a tenant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, when it comes to the rental space, it has been governed by laws from 1959, 1933, so way back. This is what we're going with now in 2019. So a few things need to change. Now, in your opinion, what do you think needs to change within the space of renting?
Within the space of renting, first of all, me, I would love to be in good terms with the landlord, because a few tenants like us go into an agreement. You just come, rent the house without signing any document. Somebody tells you pay this and you pay. You just go start renting and paying without any agreement signed. So I think it will be very nice for us to sign an agreement with the landlord, because it will protect us, and she or he will get to know where exactly I have to gain my obligations, and how I can survive in his own house or per house. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that in the 15 years you've not signed any agreement with any landlord?
None at all?
None at all. Me, I just come in, we do a mutual consent, I pay you, I start renting your house. Like there is a house I've just actually left a few months back. I've been there for the last 12 years. Yeah. And we've not fallen apart with this lady. A few months actually before I left her place, that is when we fall apart. Actually, it wasn't actually her, but it was the son confronted me, said, we'd demand you this. I said, no, go and ask your mother. She'll tell you exactly what is going on, because I don't have an agreement with her, and neither does she have one with me.
Whose call do you think this should be with regards to ensuring that there's an agreement, between the tenant and the landlord? Is it the landlord's call or your call? What is it that made you stay, for 15 years without having the experience of signing a document that binds the two parties?
It depends. It depends, because when you look at me, I'm a genuine person. I'll always tell you the truth, how much you don't like it or you like it. But I think the call would be for a tenant. So many tenants have been through a lot of things that would help, would want them to be helped somewhere, somehow. And perhaps when you sign that agreement, it will help you both, protect you, mostly you, because for the landlord, you leave the house, the next morning is getting somebody else to enter the house. So it helps the tenant, not the landlord that much.
Now, as you talk about helping the tenant, there's one bit of the bill that talks about giving you 6 months notice before they can kick you out of the house. Do you think that's necessary?
Yeah, I think it is necessary, because the former was 3 months, but I want to tell you the bitter truth. A few landlords would tell you, please vacate my house, and I'm giving you 3 months allowance time to leave my house. But that is where it comes again. I tell you, it will help the tenant. 6 months, I mean, when I'm not paying, I'll smile.
So how does that help the landlord? Because one day, as you mentioned earlier, one day you'd want to be a landlord. If at all you were in the feet of the landlord, how would that be for you?
Yeah, it will be painful for someone to stay in your house for 6 months without pay, and is going. You'd want to kick him out immediately, but the law is the law. I mean, it will remain a law, and they will tell you, please, no way, wait for this person until the time elapses.
Okay. Are you aware of the fact that there are laws that protect you as a tenant right now?
Yeah, I want to tell you, I've not been into that much, but I think they're there, and I know that there, before the bill comes out, it will exactly be there, because the bill comes with the laws. Okay,
so if we're to talk about when it comes to the hiking of rent fees, all of a sudden they tell you it's Christmas, and please, the dollar has changed, and they always go with the dollar, and they say the dollar has risen. So things like changing of rent, that rent fee, do you think we should have, because what the conversation now is changing to is maybe we should have a body that protects tenants. Yes, that you can go and report and say, there's this landlord who's doing this, instead of making a law. What would you rather, a law or a body that protects?
Well, I would go with the law, because bodies in Uganda, they have actually disappointed us to the dot. When you look at other bodies that I would not mention on air right now, they have actually disappointed people. Me, I would think a law would make it.
You actually did mention that, if you're on this other side where you're the landlord, you'd be crying tears because the law, of course, the proposed bill would not favor you. Then looking at it critically, 6 months notice for you to be evicted, then would you rather have it 6 months but the tenant pays, though you know that within this 6 months you need to get your act together and plan on moving? What would you rather in this particular bill?
As I told you, it would be a thorn in the flesh when I'm the landlord. You actually need to calm down to this guy. You discuss. It is a pain, actually. It is a pain, a thorn in the flesh. When I'm a landlord, 6 months to tell me you're not going to pay me, you have to leave my house. It is really paining. Yeah, I would bear with the law, would go with the law, because at a certain time it will protect us. However much you're losing 6 months, but also the tenant will need to settle his issues and leave your house.
But 6 months with pay would be better.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Okay, and we of course do have David Rukasi in Munyonyo with a landlord, and he'll be telling us of course the views from the landlord's perspective. he'll be, of course, walking around with this particular landlord just for us to see what exactly, you know, this building is, the experiences of this particular landlord. Right here in studios, we do have a tenant, and so that's the conversation that we are having. It is going to be a 360 kind of coverage right here on Morning at 10 TV.
Yes, it will be. But for now, we continue the conversation, given that we have a tenant, someone who's going through the experiences that this bill seems to protect you. And one of them is that the fact that, let's talk about location and rent. Talking about the areas where you can actually say, it's worth it if you charge me 1 million and above. But someone saying, you see now, since I'm already paying my water and my electricity bills, you shouldn't be charging me this amount of money. Things like that. Yes? Yeah. So when you look at location, does it ever matter to you as a tenant before they give you the price?
Yeah, exactly. Location matters a lot because we have areas like near the universities that rent is actually being hyped almost every other month. You come, someone will always just tell you, we've changed rent, we have hyped it, so you have to pay. If you don't pay, of course, there's so many people who are looking out on your house, and the only rescue is you to pay the money. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. There are other issues that, of course, we can't run away from when we're having the conversation to do with, you know, being a tenant, being a landlord, and this is the issue of electricity. Exactly. And we did have, you know, the regulatory authority of electricity come out to say that we are warning landlords who have been duping their tenants with regards to electricity, especially them that don't have individual Yaka units in different, you know, houses or even, you know, office complexes. So what has been your experience in that front, especially now that this is a story that came out very, you know, very strongly last month? It was a conversation that we were having last month. Has that been your experience? Have you been duped in any way in the 15 years that you've been there with regards to electricity?
Yeah, a few years back, like 2 years back. That is when Yak has been so common around. I went into such a problem because the landlord had these Yaka meters, and she told me I'm going to pay 10,000 for a month. But before the month elapses, she's always telling you, "Had us more money. We need to pay. We need to buy more units." So it was kind of pressing me down, and I was like, "No, I'll never pay again," because it came from a month. It came to weeks. You pay 10,000 this week, you pay 10,000 the next week. In a month we have always 4 weeks, so that is 40,000 on top of your rent, because they don't count it on your rent.
Rent and water.
Exactly. So you find it so expensive to a layman who is struggling in town to go and get mereyalero, as the Baganda say. Yeah. So to me, it has been actually a bad side of me. I would request let there be a permanent amount of money to pay than you telling me today you're paying 10, tomorrow you're paying 20, the other day you're paying 30.
So as you go scouting for houses, is it a factor that you look out for, such that you know that it's your house, you have your own Yaka meter, you're going to regulate your use or consumption of your electricity? Is it a factor that you look out for as the keys?
Exactly. This is what I looked out for when I was joining the new house, or when I was renting the new house. Even my wife asked me, "Is there a Yaka meter?"
Even your wife was worried.
Exactly. She told me, "Honey, please, we need to find a house that has its own meter, and not a house that will use 1 meter, 5 rooms. You're using 1 meter. At the end of the day, the other one has a fridge, the other one has a percolator, the other one has a flat iron. So you end up mixing it and finding it so hard to pay." Yeah.
Interesting.
As the bill seeks to end the exploitation of tenants, some people say that because you're trying to get a new place, let's say the way you were living your former place, you needed a new place immediately.
Exactly.
And a landlord could take advantage of that and exploit you and say, if you don't bring this amount of money, I am not giving you the space to rent. Yes? Have you had situations where you have been exploited as a tenant?
Yeah, exactly. But as I told you, when you need something, you need it. I mean, you have to pay. You're urgently in need of that house. You need to pay. You need to pay that money. Though it is paining. It is paining, but you'll always pay the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're paying the money and now you know, this is where the bill perhaps should come in for you and
Exactly.
say, but you see, this is where, because there's actually something in that could be economic duress within the law.
Yeah.
Yes, and already there are laws that you could use, but the question is, do tenants know of the laws that protect them?
In Uganda, I bet anyone who is actually watching us out there, a few tenants, as I told you at the beginning, do sign agreements with them. They are green.
Yeah.
Tenants
but did you
are very
ask, have you
green.
ever asked any of your landlords or landladies for an agreement?
Truthfully, I've not. Yeah, because I'm always in a rush. When you're in a rush to have a house, some things don't count in your head. Yeah,
like I need a roof over my head.
Exactly.
My family
Someone
needs to
tells
move
you,
in.
I need a house. Please look for that house in 2 days. I mean, you don't have that time. Again, do you have an agreement? So you find it so difficult.
But then who would be?
I bet in Uganda, 100%, actually 95% don't ask for agreements, tenants and landlords agreement. They will always just come in the house. Actually, it is only if last year where so many landlords have become wise. They have agreements. However much you can sign that agreements without you knowing you're signing an agreement. It tell you this, we need to do this, but you actually not literally engaging yourself, but they are engaging you. For you, you're not knowing they are signing something for you, yes. But you're signing an agreement. At the end of the day, they will tell you, we agreed on this, but you didn't know exactly. You didn't know you agreed.
True. Of course, as we wrap up, let's just touch on waste management. We cannot run away from waste management. KCCA,
Yeah.
It took center stage in 2018. Yeah. And I want to tap into experiences in the 15 years. How has it been in the areas that you've been renting, of course, with regards to waste management? Are you the one who was mandated to know how you dispose of your waste, your household waste, or the landlord actually organized something and you paid up for it? What was it for you?
Well, it is quite disappointing in Uganda and Kampala. We have just come to this, but other countries, they have managed their waste so many years back. But for us, we are just learning how to manage, and people are getting a lot of money out of waste. Some different told me, in Uganda there is money on the dustbins. I didn't know. I didn't know what he was meaning actually by that time, like 8 years ago. But Uganda, we are still green about waste management. How much they tell you to pay something, still these guys are telling you to pay something, but remember, they are going to earn from this waste. They're going to
Who is earning?
Exactly.
Is the landlord earning?
No.
Of course, the collectors.
The collectors.
Right.
Kind of KCCA, because I don't think this waste is just thrown. They develop manure out of it.
Right.
So I think it would be more cheaper, and nowadays it is too expensive, because when you're paying 20,000, 30,000, I think that is too much. You're earning, the companies are earning from the tenants. The landlord is also actually telling them, please, lekasasiro, you have to pay. So we find it quite expensive.
So you have been paying the landlord for your waste to be collected.
You pay the landlord, not the
but
company
we have
itself.
we have just started a few years back. Yeah, like 2 years back.
So in the 13 years, what was happening?
We were just disposing them to the wetlands. You just wake up with your kavela, you go with the waste, you drop it in the wetland. Actually, that is why sometimes I laugh at myself, and I pity a lot of people in Uganda who have not known anything, because you dump this waste in the wetland, the next morning it is flooding.
Yes.
You know, it is causing floods in the city. So at the end of the day, we are crying out.
You know, you mentioned something very important, and I want you to speak to Ugandans today. This camera is yours.
Yeah.
Just speak to them about waste management and why it's wrong for them to just dispose of waste, carelessly, because at the end of the day, like you said, it goes to harm you in one way or another. Just speak to them. That's your camera.
Well, dear viewers, I'm giving you this advice. Please, I beg you, whoever is having, because I know every person has a waste product in our house. please, when you get this waste, please put them, actually give them to the garbage collectors. It will help us in due time, because when you dump them in the wetlands, it will always cause harm to you. You'll have cholera at the end of the day. You have diarrhea. You have a lot of bilharzia will develop. So I think it is better for us to dispose of to the garbage collectors this waste. Okay.
Or ban it if you can't afford them.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it is illegal nowadays to ban in the city. It is where I come from in Busoga, where we ban.
Yes. Yeah.
But for now, let's not be doing it.
Exactly.
In the urban centers.
And as we wrap up, just one more thing. Asking for a receipt after payment. You mentioned one thing, that where you were renting at some point, you had been paying to the landlady.
Exactly.
And Hassan came to tell you about payments you hadn't made, but you had been paying this whole time. Why are you receiving receipts for the payments you had made?
These receipts protect us after some time, because when you overstay in the house, you get into a mutual consent. Actually, sometimes it reached a time I became as a brother, because she was calling me a brother. Hey, Manyinaza, brother, how are you? So that relationship between me and her, sometimes I would even pay and leave the receipt there. Sometimes she would remember and give me the receipts, though she writes them, but sometimes she doesn't give them to you. So have to be keen. Every tenant, please be keen. These receipts will always help you out in bad times. For example, me at that time, I needed them, but I couldn't access them. So I would beg every tenant, please have the receipts, because it will be the evidence to know you either paid or not.
Right. So have the receipts, keep them well.
Exactly.
They will come to help you.
Exactly.
And what you've told them today, if you're in the city, just get in touch with the garbage collector.
Exactly.
If you're in the rural areas, just burn your garbage.
Though we beg.
Though
we beg.
We beg?
Yeah, we beg. We beg even actually these guys, the garbage collectors. There's so many companies that have grown up. I think it would be a little bit cheaper. Let it be cheaper. In order for these guys to access it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Itagat, for joining us on Mark.
Again.
I don't know why I've named him Peter.
A typical Musoga.
Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Anyway, that we were joined by Mr. Mark Itagat. Yes. I don't know why. I think I have given you a new name.
By the way, when you say Peter, Peter was my young brother.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can bear with it.
Okay, so we're taking you live to Gulu, where Ali Mivule is online, and we're giving you an update on the treason case against Mityana Municipality Member of Parliament Francis Zake, as following what happened earlier on last month, actually late last month. Those are the images. Very own in Gulu. Of course, we have those pictures coming to you. The Member of Parliament Francis Zake, him arriving in Gulu for, of course, yet another hearing for him. And of course, you know that the update is on the treason case that was actually, put against him in Mityana Municipality. Now, those are the pictures coming from you, of course, as NTV. We will keep you up to date with every single development. We are on this one. At the end of February, on the 22nd of February, moments after being granted a 50 million non-cash bail by the court in Arua, he was re-arrested and remanded to a prison in Gulu. And he was set to appear before the Arua Grade 1 Magistrate Daniel Luowa and charged. So that is those are images you're looking at from Gulu this morning at exactly 27 minutes past 8 a.m. And as you can see, there are members of parliament as well who were there.
Yes, his lawyers as well. So he's fully represented pretty much. Yes, they always call it the soldier is behind him. His soldiers are behind him. So those are the stories. This is a major update this particular day, and of course, like I said, we will keep you up to date with every single development that happens with regards to the same case.
As you can see, the color red seems to be a part of it. If anyone remembers the events from last year, Arua 33, and him being one of them. And one of the things they were charging him with was the fact that he escaped from lawful custody.
Right.
Yes. And one of the other things was the fact that he was to report in court after his bond was extended from December the 5th of 2018. Now, more and more from the escape from the lawful custody, and those are images you can see outside Gulu. In court was not granted the ability to enter a plea as of the 22nd of February, but we'll be keeping you abreast on what will be going on in Gulu, and you should definitely be keeping it NTV Uganda. We're going to be taking a short break, but we'll return with Morning at NTV.
Are you dreaming of longer and thicker hair, or of long and natural eyelashes?
Try Placent Active Hair Growth products that are suitable for both natural and relaxed hair. Available at all the biggest pharmacies and beauty shops.